For 20 years, people in the business world knew Adrian Cole for two things: his billions and his complete refusal to let anyone get close to him. Women had tried to enter his life: actresses, socialites, heiresses, executives, even women who genuinely seemed to care about him, but Adrian had built a wall so high that nobody could climb it. Then, on an ordinary Monday morning, his new assistant walked into his office carrying a cup of coffee, a folder of urgent contracts, and a small paper bag containing a sandwich. She had no idea that within 6 months, she would change the life of the richest man in the city, not by loving his money, but by teaching him how to live without being afraid of love. Before we begin, if you believe that kindness can give people a second chance and that even the hardest heart can heal, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories of kindness, courage, and second chances. Adrian Cole had everything money could buy. His company occupied 37 floors of a glass tower overlooking the city, his name appeared on business magazines, and his private garage contained cars most people only saw in movies. Yet every evening, when the lights of the city glittered beneath his penthouse windows, Adrian ate dinner alone. His dining table could seat 12 people, but most nights only one plate was placed upon it. The silence inside that enormous apartment was almost louder than the traffic below. He had once told a journalist that loneliness was simply the price of success. The truth was much darker. Adrian had not chosen loneliness because he loved it. He had chosen it because 20 years earlier, love had cost him almost everything. When Adrian was 28, he had been a completely different man. He was ambitious, but warm. He laughed easily, trusted people quickly, and believed that success meant little if there was nobody waiting for you at home. Then he met Elena. She was not rich, famous, or impressed by his family name. She worked at a small bookstore near his office and remembered his coffee order after only 2 visits. Adrian fell in love with her quietly, completely, and without hesitation. They planned a future together. But Adrian's father discovered that Elena came from a poor family and considered her a threat to the family's reputation. He offered her money to leave Adrian. Elena refused. A few weeks later, Adrian's father suffered a serious business crisis and convinced Adrian that Elena had secretly taken money from the company and betrayed him. Adrian believed the lie because he was young, angry, and too proud to ask the woman he loved for the truth. He ended their relationship with cruel words. By the time he learned the truth, Elena had disappeared from his life. That mistake changed him. He stopped trusting women. He stopped believing in love. He buried himself in work and turned himself into the cold businessman everyone feared. Over the next 20 years, whenever someone tried to get close to him, Adrian found a reason to push them away. He convinced himself that emotional distance was strength. He never realized that he was not protecting his heart anymore, he was imprisoning it. Then came Maya Bennett. Maya was 29, intelligent, hardworking, and carrying more responsibilities than anyone in the building knew. She applied for the position of Adrian's executive assistant after losing her previous job when the company she worked for closed unexpectedly. She had bills to pay, a younger brother finishing college, and an aging mother who depended on her. Maya did not have expensive clothes or powerful connections. She had determination. During her interview, Adrian asked her why she believed she could handle working for him when his previous assistants rarely lasted 6 months. Maya looked directly into his eyes and calmly explained that she did not intend to impress him. She intended to do her job well. For the first time in years, Adrian almost smiled. Her first week was difficult. Adrian expected perfection, and Maya quickly discovered that his schedule was a battlefield. Meetings changed every hour, documents appeared without warning, and Adrian had a habit of sending emails at 3 in the morning. But Maya never complained. She arrived early, stayed organized, and quietly fixed problems before they reached him. Yet there was one thing Adrian noticed immediately: she never treated him like a millionaire. She treated him like a person. One rainy evening, Adrian worked late until nearly midnight. When he finally stepped out of his office, he found Maya still sitting at her desk, staring at her computer screen. She had a half-eaten sandwich beside her. Adrian asked why she was still there. She explained that she had missed dinner because she had been preparing documents for an important presentation the next morning. Adrian walked away without another word. 10 minutes later, he returned with food from a restaurant downstairs and placed it beside her. Maya looked surprised. Adrian simply told her that nobody should work 12 hours without eating properly. It was a tiny gesture, but something inside both of them shifted. Over the following weeks, Maya began noticing things nobody else seemed to see. Adrian always skipped breakfast. He became unusually quiet whenever the anniversary of a certain date approached. He kept an old photograph locked inside his desk. He avoided the charity events his company sponsored, even though his employees often attended. Maya never asked invasive questions, but she started leaving a small breakfast on his desk every morning. Sometimes it was fruit. Sometimes toast. Once, when she discovered that he liked cinnamon rolls, she brought one from a bakery near her home. Adrian pretended to be annoyed. Secretly, he looked forward to them. One morning, he asked her why she bothered. Maya shrugged and told him that caring about another person's well-being did not require a special reason. Adrian stared at her for several seconds. Nobody had spoken to him like that in years. Most people wanted something from him. Maya seemed to want nothing. Then trouble arrived. A major investor threatened to withdraw millions from Adrian's company after discovering accounting irregularities in one of the company's subsidiaries. Adrian became harsher than ever. He worked 18-hour days, snapped at employees, and blamed himself for trusting the wrong people. Maya stayed beside him, organizing documents and helping the legal team uncover what had happened. Eventually, they discovered that a senior executive had been secretly moving company funds into private accounts. The discovery saved Adrian's company, but it also exposed something painful. The executive was someone Adrian had trusted for 15 years. That night, Adrian sat alone in his office with the city glowing beyond the windows. He stared at the old photograph in his hand. Maya happened to see him through the partially open door. She was about to leave when Adrian quietly asked her to come in. For the first time, he told someone the truth about Elena. He explained how he had loved her, how his father had lied, and how he had destroyed the only relationship that had ever made him genuinely happy. Adrian admitted that he had spent 20 years blaming women for a betrayal that had never happened. Maya listened without interrupting. When he finished, she told him something that stayed with him for the rest of his life. She said that sometimes people build walls because they are afraid of being hurt again, but eventually they forget that walls do not only keep pain out. They also keep happiness out. Adrian looked at her and realized that Maya was the first person in 20 years who had made him want to lower the wall. But just as their friendship began turning into something deeper, Maya received a phone call that changed everything. Her mother had become seriously ill, and Maya needed to take time away from work. Adrian immediately offered to help with medical expenses. Maya refused. She explained that she appreciated his kindness, but she did not want charity. She wanted the dignity of handling her family's problems herself. Adrian respected her answer. Instead of giving her money, he quietly arranged flexible working hours and made sure she could keep her position while caring for her mother. For the first time, Adrian understood the difference between rescuing someone and standing beside them. Weeks passed. Maya's mother recovered slowly, and Maya returned to work. But something between her and Adrian had changed. They laughed more. They ate lunch together. Adrian began leaving the office before midnight. He even attended one of his company's charity events, something he had refused to do for years. At the event, Maya watched him speak to children from a local shelter. He looked different. Softer. Happier. Then an unexpected guest arrived. It was Elena. Adrian froze when he saw her. 20 years disappeared in an instant. Elena was older now, her hair touched with gray, but Adrian recognized her immediately. She had come to the charity event because she worked with the organization receiving the company's donation. When their eyes met, neither moved. Later that evening, Elena told Adrian the truth about what had happened 20 years earlier. She had never taken his father's money. She had never betrayed him. She had waited for Adrian to come back, but after months passed, she eventually moved away and built a different life. Adrian apologized. He did not ask her to return. He knew some wounds could never be erased simply because the truth had finally arrived. Elena forgave him. That forgiveness broke something inside Adrian, not in a painful way, but like a locked door finally opening. He realized that he had spent 20 years punishing every future relationship for the mistakes of his past. When he returned home that night, he stood alone in his penthouse and looked at the empty dining table. For the first time, he hated the silence. The next morning, Adrian walked into his office carrying 2 cups of coffee. He placed one on Maya's desk. She looked up in surprise. He told her that he had decided to make changes. He would no longer measure his life by company profits, magazine covers, or the size of his bank account. He wanted to make time for people. He wanted to be present. He wanted to live. Maya smiled. Months later, Adrian transformed an unused floor of his company building into a community center offering scholarships, career training, and support for struggling families. Maya helped organize the program. Adrian funded it, but Maya reminded him that money could open doors while kindness helped people walk through them. Their relationship grew slowly. There was no dramatic proposal, no sudden fairy tale romance. Instead, there were small moments, shared breakfasts, evening walks, laughter during stressful days, and the simple comfort of knowing someone would be there tomorrow. One winter evening, Adrian took Maya to the small bookstore where he had once met Elena. The shop had changed owners, but the smell of old books remained. He told Maya that he had spent 20 years believing his heart was broken beyond repair. Then he looked at her and admitted that she had never fixed his heart. She had simply shown him that it was still alive. Maya reached for his hand. And for the first time in 20 years, Adrian did not pull away. Years later, people would still talk about Adrian Cole as one of the most successful businessmen of his generation. But those who knew him personally remembered something else. They remembered the way he smiled when his employees brought their children to the community center. They remembered how he personally attended scholarship ceremonies. They remembered that he always kept a chair beside him at dinner. Because Adrian finally understood something money had never been able to teach him. Success is not about how many people know your name. It is about how many lives become better because you were there. Maya never changed Adrian by chasing him, demanding his attention, or trying to become part of his wealthy world. She changed him through small acts of kindness. She reminded him to eat. She listened when he was hurting. She respected his boundaries. She showed him that trust could be rebuilt and that love did not have to arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrived quietly, carrying a cup of coffee and asking if you had eaten. If this story touched your heart, please support the video by liking it, sharing it with someone who needs a second chance, and subscribing to Kindness Corner. Every interaction helps these stories reach someone who may be struggling silently and needs a reminder that life can still change. And before we end, leave a comment saying, everyone deserves a second chance. Maybe your words will reach someone who needs to hear them today. Because sometimes the richest person in the room is not the one with the most money. Sometimes it is the person who still has enough kindness left in their heart to believe that someone else can heal. And sometimes, the person who changes your life does not arrive with a grand promise. Sometimes, they simply walk through the door carrying a cup of coffee, and quietly remind you that your heart was never truly empty. It was only waiting for someone to help you open it again.